Hey everybody, we are going to dive into just a few reminders, a little bit of review before we get started with a few guided practice questions today, and then you are off to your independent practice. Yesterday we looked at my favorite thing, ratio tables that represent proportional relationships. We remembered what the constant of proportionality was, and then 3 ways to find it. All of that knowledge is still going to be useful for you today. We are still having to look at a relationship and find the COP. We're just going to take it one step further and represent those proportional relationships, not just with a table, but with an equation. Okay, that's what we're working on today. Go ahead and set up your notes. Today is April 28th. This is the same anchor chart as yesterday. I just want to highlight for you a different part of this anchor chart. So we talked about how to find the COP yesterday. I put those 3 ways here again for you today, but I do want to point out that today we're working on this equation. So typically an equation for a proportional relationship comes in this form, y equals kx, where k is the constant of proportionality. So you might have an equation that looks like y equals 3x. This relationship between cups of rice and number of people is a proportional relationship. The COP is 3. The x is being multiplied by 3, so I can write y equals, actually I don't see that on the poster, y equals 3x. Okay, y equals 3x. Note that if you switch directions, then the COP changes to 1/3. You also switch the order of the x and y. That's because if I want to go from, let's say, 45 to 15, I have to multiply by 1/3. So my y times 1/3 is x. So in my equation, I have to show that y times 1/3 is x, right? So just look out that your COP is being multiplied to x. In fact, that reminder is in here. You're going to double check that your COP is the factor that goes from x to y, aka it's the one being multiplied by the x to get the y, okay? Then you're going to write in the form y equals kx. Let's try it. Okay, go ahead and set up on your paper question number 1. Set up on your paper question number 1. I'm going to give you just 1 minute to answer this question. You are going to look at the table. It shows the cost of movie tickets based on the number of tickets purchased. You're going to choose the equation that models this situation. Okay, 1 minute is on the clock. Time starts now. So you should be copying down part of this question. You really only need 1 ratio, so maybe just the first one, or whichever one you think looks the easiest. Copy that down on your paper in a table, and start by finding the COP, constant of proportionality. Remember, the COP takes you from the x to the y. All right, and go ahead and select which equation you think matches the situation. If you need more time, please pause here. If you're ready to go, here we are. I know looking at this question, I want to find the constant of proportionality, and then I want to write the equation myself, and then I can compare it to the answer choices. That was my approach. It's not the only approach. You could also substitute in your x values and see if the equation gets you your output, your y value. This way worked best for me. So I just wrote down the tickets, 2 tickets for $17. Just that ratio is all that I wanted to copy on my paper. I know that if I want to find the COP, one of the ways to do that is to divide y by x. So 17 divided by 2 equals 8.5. That's $8.50 per ticket. You could also have found a 1 row. And when you do that, that's the COP. Okay. So my constant of proportionality is 8 and 5/10. Therefore, my equation looks like this, y equals 8.5x. Just double checking that my x times my COP equals y. X times the COP equals y. Yes, that's true. Okay. This should be A, I believe. Let's double check. Yep, A. In your Google form, please go ahead and enter A for question 1. Awesome. We're ready to move on to question 2. Go ahead and put question 2 on your paper. Okay. You're going to do the same thing. Look at the relationship in the table. Identify the equation that matches that situation. 1 minute on the clock. Try to make your work look like the work that I just showed my example. Okay, go. Again, just copy the ratios that you know you're going to use. This is a proportional relationship, so you don't need to check every ratio. Remember, your constant of proportionality goes from x to y, in this case from x to p. So what factor takes you from x, the number of cakes, to p, the price? What do you multiply by? Make sure you've selected the equation that matches the relationship you found. All right, let's stop here. Pause the video if you need a little bit of extra time. All right, I just used that first ratio. 1 cake costs $12. My COP is 12 because x times 12 is the price, P. You could also just identify, hey, this is the unit rate, so I know my COP must be the other value in my 1 row. If this is the COP, then I can go ahead and write my equation. I know that x times 12 equals P, the price. That's the relationship here. That's the same thing as 12x. We can write x times 12 as 12x because when I have a variable and a number next to each other, it's multiplication. And that in turn is the same thing as if I swap the left and right side of my equal sign. P equals 12x means the same thing. So I did this because my answer choice looks like this, but my thinking looks like this. Okay, so I've got to do those steps to kind of make my thinking look like the answer choice that was provided. So P equals 12x. I'm going to go ahead and enter my answer. Can you put a big star on number 2 if you got that one right on your first try, and then a nice self-5 way to go. All right, last question. This is question 3. Go ahead and put question 3 on your paper. There's a part A and a part B. So we're going to kind of do those separately because of scrolling. I can't show you it all at the same time. So this is 3 part A. This one I'm provided a calculator, so it's okay to use your calculator as you work on this question. All right, question 3, part A. I want you to read this, and I want you to solve it on your own. 1 minute is on the clock. Go ahead. I would expect that many of you are using a ratio table already. If you haven't thought of that yet, go ahead and draw your T-chart, put in the 2 labels you need, and put in the ratio you're given in the question. All right, this question required a little bit more from you. You weren't already given the table, you needed to set it up. So that's what's new and different about this one. If you need more time to do that in order to get your equation, please take it. Pause the video here. Awesome. So here's what I knew. I knew that books were represented by the variable B that was given in the question, so it's important I use that variable and not X in this problem. And my total cost is T. I know that 9 books cost $62.82. This was the ratio given in the question. I want you to put up to 2 stars on your paper right now. Put a star on your paper if your units, your labels, look like mine. If you need to add the variable in to make yours look like mine, you can give yourself a star, but please make that edit right now. The second star comes from this first ratio in the table. We know that 9 books cost $62.82. It's okay if you switch the columns and put the cost $62.82 first and books second, no problem. Okay. So there are a couple of possible COPs. Remember, if I go from books to cost or if I go from cost to books, I get 2 different COPs. So how do I know which one is the right one? Well, in the question, my equation starts with T equals. So the total cost equals something times the number of books, right? The total cost equals something times the number of books, B. So I know I'm going to be multiplying times the number of books. So I'm going from, in my table, left to right. If you reversed your columns, your arrow will go from right to left. That's the COP we want, right? So if I want to know 9 times something equals this, I'm going to use division. Remember, that's one of the 3 ways I can find COP is do y divided by x, or in this case, t divided by b, and I got $6.98. I double checked by calculating 9 times 698 equals, and I got this total. So when I think about writing my equation, here's what I'm thinking first. I thought the number of books, 9, times 698, my constant of proportionality, equals the total cost, T. That's the same as $6.98, B, equals T, which is the same as T equals $6.98 times B. Wow, if you got an equation that looks exactly like mine or is equivalent, go ahead and put a big star. Nice job. If you got 3 stars out of 3, give yourself a pat on the back. Really well done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my answer here. T equals 698B. I keep saying 698 because it's $6.98 per book, right? All right, and this one is one on your Google Forms. Let's enter it together. Question 3, part A. Go ahead and write the whole equation for me. T equals 698B. Pause the video here and make sure you get that in your Google form. Excellent. It'll be automatically marked correct if you don't put any spaces in there. So make sure that that is done. Okay. All right, let's look at part B for this question. William bought 4 books. Using the equation you wrote in part A, how much did William spend on books? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. You have 1 minute. Go. So using your equation, I would rewrite that equation from part A and use it to help you on part B. This is our last 30 seconds, last 20 seconds. Think about where should you substitute for B or for T? Think about what those variables represent in order to answer that question. All right, team. Here's what my work looked like. Here is the original equation we wrote from part A. I substituted for the number of books William bought for B. I multiplied these 2 numbers together. I got $27.92. $27.92. Please put a star on your paper if you got that correct on your own. Way to go. You guys are crushing it. Awesome. Last thing for you in your Google form is the question of the day. So here it is. What form is the equation of a proportional relationship in? Think first. What form is an equation for a proportional relationship in? You got it. It's in this form, y equals kx. Y equals kx. So in your Google form, I want you to type in y equals kx. That's the form of a proportional relationship. If you type it in just like this, it'll be marked correct automatically. Awesome, that's it for me. You have an independent practice today in assessments, in Tutor, that math platform, and then a skill builder, and we are working towards our quiz on Thursday. Please stop by Ms. Russell's office hours for any help if you need it. I know she'd love to see you, and I will see you all back here tomorrow.